Everything you just saw was from one movie. This angry little man had no issue taking life, whether it's with a sword, a gun, or his bare hands. Now, I know I just made a video involving Damian, but rewatching and editing those clips made me realize just how crazy he really was. But to address the elephant in the title, Batman's accidental demon baby, I know that with the power of retcons and reboots, Damian's conception has probably been changed, but originally, his mother was so down bad for the battling that she drugged him and proceeded to take advantage of him while in that drugged state, if you catch my drift. Meaning Batman had no idea he had a son until Talia popped up in Gotham and told him. But why did she randomly decide to pop up in Gotham City now of all times? Because Deathstroke woke up and decided to wipe out most of the League of Assassins and even managed to finally kill Ra's al Ghul himself. But obviously Damian wasn't about to just sit around while all this happened, even though Talia told him to. And I have to admit, as weird as the writers can have her be, she does seem to genuinely care for Damian here and is a threat by herself. Most of her men were just standing there getting gunned down and standing no chance against a full-blown aerial assault on their land. But Talia, with only a bow and arrow, managed to take out an entire chopper with ease. While all this is happening, more of Slade's troops are moving in and one even attempts to shoot Damian. But Damian just kind of sat there and looked at him like he didn't really care, and the guy ends up dropping his gun after getting killed by one of the League members. Now this is where we first see how much of a threat Damian is and can be. This little menace was just waiting for the opportunity to present itself, and as soon as it did, he immediately scooped up the gun and went to work. 1, 2, 3. Less than 10 minutes in, and he's already earned the title of a mass murderer. We then cut to Deathstroke, who has successfully put down Ra's al Ghul. But before he could land a finishing blow, Damian kicks him out of the way. This 10-year-old boy is proving himself to be fast and skilled enough to dodge Slade's blows, before being overpowered in a clash and flung through a pillar. He then evades another one of Slade's attacks and is able to reposition him and slice through another pillar like butter, causing rubble to collapse onto him. And then yeah, Slade makes a tactical retreat after that one. Damian recognizes the big bald man in the helicopter, which will be important later. Anyways, we see that Ra's al Ghul is actually dead, like for real this time, and Talia decides that now is better than ever to return back to Gotham City. Meanwhile, in Gotham, Batman is confronting Killer Croc, who he claims looks a little bigger than usual. So of course, he ran away, as anyone would. At least that's what Croc thought, because as soon as he left the room, unfortunately, Batman didn't keep the upper hand for long. In fact, he was about to be Croc's breakfast, but Talia comes to the rescue and somehow one-shots this stronger version of Croc. Anywho, they go back to a private boat or something, and Talia gets all dressed up before revealing the shocking reason as to why she came here. Batman doesn't believe it at first, but they quickly reassure him that Damian is indeed his son. Damian even says how he thought Batman would be taller. After Talia leaves, we see immediately that Damian and Bruce have a couple of things in common. Damian says, "I do fine by myself." Batman says, "So do I." But Batman quickly picks up on the fact that Damian has been trained in combat, but not much else. They make it back to the cave and Alfred greets them. Damian proves once more how socially unaware he is by calling Alfred, of all people, by his last name. Oh, and he also asks where all the other servants are, implying that that's all Alfred really is. Something tells me Alfred has already decided where he ranks Damian amongst the previous Robins. So he basically just goes on to rate the Batcave and tell them what can be improved upon. On this self-guided tour of his, he stumbles upon the Robin costume. Of course he insults it, but Alfred immediately explains that the suit is simply outdated. And let's be real, anything worn by Goat Grayson should immediately exceed the value of a price tag. Alfred shows him to his new room and is immediately ordered to make him tea in grave detail. Alfred tries to retort with a joke, but Damian tells him to watch out, and Alfred says quite frankly that he doesn't care. The next day, we're told that Damian has been awake and trashing the yard since 5 a.m. And not only that, but the sword he was doing it all with was Bruce's grandfather's sword that was hanging up on the wall for decades, most likely. Oh, and Deathstroke kidnapped Damian's mom. Anyways, later that night, we see the big bald man from earlier. He seemed like he was about to get busy with these two ladies before Damian crashed the party. Damian proceeds to sweep kick his legs and follow up with a kick to the midsection while he's floating in the air and send him flying. Damian tries to interrogate him, but the guy says it won't be easy to get him to talk. Now, listen, you getting beat up by a 10-year-old as a man no smaller than 7'5", 550 pounds should already be questionable enough. But when you say that it won't be easy to get you to talk, and he proceeds to drop his weapon and say, "I don't want it to be easy," you should know by that point that you're not dealing with some kid. You're dealing with a monster. And just look at him in this frame. He does an air combo on him and kicks him through the window. He tries to run away, but Damian decides that he's Spider-Man and swings after him. They have a small clash, but not only does Damian win this, but he also gives Baldy a face full of boots. Damian gives him one final chance to give him answers. He stands on business and says that his lips are sealed. And just look at the excitement on Damian's face from hearing this. He was genuinely hoping that this guy wouldn't talk. But then, can I get a drum roll, please? For the best of the Robins, the fierce and brave leader of the Titans, the first to ever do it, the one and only Nightwing shows up and saves this guy's life. Now, I really wanted to emphasize how skilled and tough Damian was up until this point, so that you could truly understand how amazing it is that Nightwing defeated this little demon without trying to hurt him. There isn't a single scratch or bruise on him. Back at the cave, we see just how well Dick and Damian are getting along.
Maybe you need more anesthetic.
And maybe you need to go Master Dick.
Damian continues to insult the Robin costume, but Dick says he sees right through the act and that Damian probably thinks that he could be Robin and that he can't. Damian responds by saying he's way above a bird name in simplistic training, as he saw tonight. And Goat Grayson responds by saying,
"You lost that fight."
This whole time, Batman has been very patient with Damian, but Damian almost killed a man, and we all know how Batman feels about that. Damian tries to explain that it's easier his way, but Batman isn't hearing any of it. He tells him that it's not about doing what's easy, but doing what's right because it's right, and that's the only reason you need. Batman then throws a shuriken at Damian's head, but luckily he catches it. "What if I didn't catch it?" Damian asks, and Batman just says it would have hurt. Batman then explains that the shuriken he threw belongs to the League of Assassins. Batman explains where he found it and how he needs to follow up on that lead. But Damian says he wants to help, the same way Nightwing used to, which contradicts what he said earlier and proves Nightwing right. He did want to be Robin. Score 1 jillion for Goatwing and 0 for Damian. But Nightwing's victory was short-lived.
I'm not gonna like this, am I?
No. Bright in the night skies of Gotham, a signal shines through, the bat signal. Batman shows up to greet Gordon alongside the newest Robin. Another one, Gordon questions Batman, but Batman just brushed it aside and said he'll explain later. Gordon tries to show some new evidence he's gathered relating to the League of Assassins, but Damian snatches it up from him first. They follow up on the lead and Damian agrees to stick by Batman and to not act on his own. There's a couple of guards walking around and Damian's first thoughts are to jump them. His words, not mine. They find Dr. Lindstrom, whom their trail of evidence has been leading them towards, and tries to ask him a few questions. Unfortunately, he didn't give an answer Damian was too happy with, so he slams him onto a table and out of the room. This, of course, draws unwanted attention that Batman tried to avoid, and they now have to fight their way out. Damian once more lets us know that he's just doing it for the love of the game. Batman says they should retreat, but Damian claims he's no coward. Batman tells him not to be stupid, so they retreat anyway. They don't get far because it turns out that they're on a football field with dozens of giant mutant man-bats. They all start to pile up onto Batman and Robin before Batman, the human, gets a little angry and pushes them all off with one swift movement. Damian continues to dish out some of his famous air combos, seemingly one-shotting these guys. After dealing with them, Damian does the one thing he said he wouldn't do and breaks away from Batman to catch up with the Doctor. He finally catches up with him and smiles while holding a sword to his head. We see that Deathstroke has been keeping tabs on Damian and still has Talia held hostage. While Batman and Damian are making their way, Damian comments how he recognizes these mountains and had been climbing them since he was 4. Even Batman states that that is some pretty harsh training for someone of that age. But that's not all, folks. He goes on to say that he fell and broke his wrist the first time he attempted it, but that he still made it to the top anyway. Damian asks about Bruce's childhood, and Bruce tells him that although it wasn't great, he had people like Alfred to help, and that all Damian ever had were trainers, and that was the difference between the two of them. When they make it to her supposed location, she's missing. Batman finds an entry point only leading to Dr. Lindstrom's family. They thank Batman and Robin for saving them, and the girl slips a tablet of some sort over to Damian, telling him that Deathstroke told her that he'd spare her if she gave it to him. While Batman leads them to safety, Damian quietly falls back to see the message left for him. After seeing the same man that killed his grandfather hold his mother up by the scalp, he has a justifiable crash out. He swims for who knows how long over to their location. He makes it inside and continues to look for Talia. Turns out they were at the Lazarus pit, and Slade had his own small army of man-bats ready to attack. Damian just pulls out a gun on him and orders him to let her go. And just look, no Robin before or after has ever done it like this. Unfortunately, Damian couldn't take the shot because Deathstroke also had a gun right to Talia's head. As soon as Damian dropped his gun, Slade aimed his at him. He pulled the trigger, but Talia jumped in front of the bullet to save Damian. Sadly, this kind of literally did nothing because he kept shooting Damian anyway, and Damian dodged those bullets, so he probably would have dodged the first one too. Batman shows up, hears the shooting, and immediately gets to work. Deathstroke is truly standing no chance against him, and the fight was very one-sided. Damian goes after Slade while Bruce looks over Talia, eventually deciding to put her in the Lazarus pit. Deathstroke basically starts complaining like a mean girl in high school, saying he should have been the successor of the League of Assassins and that Talia should have been with him instead. Damian disagreed, and Slade didn't like that very much. He stabs Damian in the arm with his own sword and had him pinned up like a poster on the wall. But this crazy demon boy forcefully rips his arm out of the knife and removes the blade from his other arm, then lunges at him like it never happened. He already took out one eye at the start of the movie and came pretty close here to making him fully blind. Damian catches Slade's sword with his bare hands and uses it as a stepping stool to deliver a backwards kick to the jaw. Deathstroke gets up close and personal with Damian, and Damian refuses to be a victim of a Diddy party, so he spits in his eye. Deathstroke breaks his arm, so Damian repositions his sword and gets right back to work. Damian gets knocked into this steaming hot vat of acid or something, and an idea strikes, and the fight ends with Damian outsmarting him. Slade goes out pretty sad, begging Damian to kill him, but he doesn't because he's the son of Batman. Everyone's happy, Talia survived, and Damian stayed in Gotham with Bruce. But again, that was just one movie. This same Damian goes on to react to The Flash, help take down Superman, and remain as one of the final survivors in this universe. In the comics, after Damian is introduced to Tim gets fed up with him pretty quickly. But where does that get him? Backhanded so hard that blood came out of his mouth. Was Damian annoying at times? Yes. Does he have some horrible adaptations? Yes. But I don't think he ever deserved as much hate as he received. I mean, even in the movie, which from my knowledge was his first and biggest adaptation outside of the comics, Alfred calls him a spitting image of Bruce at that age. And with that being said, it kind of reminds me of Gabby and Eren Yeager. There's people who love Eren and absolutely despise Gabby. I think people that feel that way are completely missing the point of the character. It was to show the cycle of war and how Eren indirectly created another Eren, aka Gabby, by destroying everything dear to her, exactly how the Colossal Titan did to him as a child. Damian was trained from birth to kill. The fact that he unlearned those habits as quickly as he did should be impressive to you. Sure, we know killing is wrong and that Batman doesn't agree with it, but to Damian, it was all very new to him. He's used to getting rewarded for taking life and being efficient at doing it. So imagine the stark contrast of having everyone around you, your supposed allies, constantly lecturing you on why your way of life is wrong. We're just lucky that he met Bruce at an impressionable age. Otherwise, he could have and would have easily strayed too far down the wrong path. Dick Grayson's parents passed away, and Bruce took him in. Jason was an orphan that needed guidance. Tim was a smart kid who knew how important the role of Robin was to Batman. Damian has nothing in common with any of them, and to set him apart even further, he's the one and only blood son of Bruce Wayne. I think I've made it clear in my videos that I love Dick, and he's my favorite amongst the four Robins, but I still really enjoy Damian as a character. Would he have been received better if he were another orphan wandering the streets of Gotham waiting to be adopted? If he was already an inherently good person? We have to be open to new ideas, because without them, we'd continue getting the same characters over and over again. Robin is a mantle that can be earned, and who better to showcase that than an assassin trained to kill from birth? And all of that is mostly around Damian's introduction. He's grown so much as a character over the years that he's nowhere near the same person he was when he was introduced. He's arguably the most interesting Robin of the four, simply because of how different he is. He also has the coolest costume, let's be real. His adaptations adaptations are usually pretty good, or really bad. The DCAU is the adaptation I believe to be the best. Reason being, we get to actually see him grow throughout these movies, not just physically, but as a character. He matures so much from his first appearance and goes through so much that it's honestly just amazing to watch. But I think I've already talked about that one enough in this video, lol. An adaptation would be something like Batman Ninja. It's not that it was bad, it just didn't really feel like Damian to me, so it was just. And a terrible one, and a terrible adaptation is the Injustice universe. This version of Damian is so annoyingly bad that Bruce even disowns him as his son, saying that Dick was always his real son. Not literally, but you get the point. The reason Bruce does this is because Damian in this universe accidentally killed Nightwing. Yeah, right. Accidentally threw one of his escrima sticks at his head with full force and saying it was an accident. This version of Damian is what everyone thinks the actual Damian is. In fact, he's worse than people's preconceived notions about Damian. The fact that he would take Goat Grayson's kindness and use it against him to take his life and then call it an accident? I mean, this guy had less emotional maturity than the real Damian when he first appeared in Gotham City. And that's saying something because Injustice Damian was like 17 or something when he did this. Almost a whole decade older than Damian Prime when he was introduced. If this was your only introduction to the character and this series is the reason you absolutely undoubtedly despise Damian Wayne, I can't even blame you. I'd actually agree with you and point you towards the direction of my Nightwing shrine to help you recover from your mental injuries. Hey, thank you guys so much for watching. I will be announcing the giveaway winners from the last video at the end. I know this is the end, but there's stuff I want to say to the normal audience watching before I get to the giveaway stuff. Now, if you've been following me for a little bit now, you know that this is my longest video yet, which I am very proud of. Why did I make a video so long? One, the video was naturally long because it was partly like a movie review breakdown kinda, so naturally it was over 10 minutes. And I wanted to deep dive into Damian and kind of give him the respect he deserved. But on more of a creative standpoint, I wanted to push myself to create a longer product just because I wanted to experiment. I wanted to see how it was. I wanted to see if I could do it because it was a very big step out of my comfort zone. I'm so used to making 8 to 10 minute long videos. And while speaking of 8 to 10 minute long videos, this was mainly and mostly with my Invincible content. I kind of, with some of those videos, I kind of stretched for them to be 8 minutes, which I am not proud of. And I knew that it was becoming very obvious when I had some comments in one of my videos say anything for the 8 minute mark. Those comments were funny, but unfortunately they were true. And I do hate that that was the case. As a creator, I do appreciate you giving me your time, and I am working on being a creator that is more worthy of your time, more deserving of your time. So I tried my best to make this video have more substance. I don't want it to just be empty filling, just stretching for time. I want there to be substance. And also with more recent videos, whether they're 5 minutes, whether they're 7 minutes, whether they're, I don't know, 8, 10, and today, 18 or 20, however long this is, I just want it to be worthwhile. So I appreciate you guys for supporting me as much as you have. I want you to know that I appreciate you more than you know, and I am constantly trying to grow as a creator. Yes, I'm lazy. Yes, I procrastinate, but we all do. I would like to think so. So I'm trying to get better. This actually wasn't too terribly long to make. It took 3 or 4 days, which actually isn't that bad. So yeah, be looking out for more longer videos because I really didn't mind making it, but I won't force a certain length or anything like that. So yeah, I really appreciate you guys. Now for the giveaway winners, there are 2. Now please let me explain. The reason I thought it would be better to have 2 is because I didn't want to like say one was the winner, but then say they only saw my last video and then they participated in the giveaway and maybe they forgot that they participated, or they just forgot to check my recent video. I don't want that code just to go nowhere. So I don't want to just sit around and wait endlessly for someone to get back to me. If, you know, there's someone else that wants the code way more and is more deserving of it, but since I didn't randomly select them as the winner, then they don't get the code and the code just sits there and rots away. So the two winners I chose were Dorian B and Mason. I'm going to put both of you up on the screen. Now, I've never done this before, so I guess it'll be like first come, first serve. Basically, you can contact me through Discord, which is, you know, Cloudify, the same as my name here. Don't forget the second I. Everyone always forgets the second I. If you don't feel comfortable doing Discord, which I totally understand, you can contact me via message request on TikTok. So same thing, Cloudify on TikTok, just send me a message request. Please try to send any sort of proof that you're actually you. That would be nice. Like maybe if it's possible for you to edit your comment you left on the video and leaving your Discord or TikTok username to kind of verify that it's you. And yeah, I'll be happy to give you the code. So thank you guys for everything. Really, thank you so much. And I'll see you in the next one.